Welcome to this week's episode of the Evolve to Succeed podcast. My guest this week is Lincoln New. Lincoln, with his co-founder, started a business called Term Footwear. They grew that business and successfully exited. But if that was all the story, then perhaps it wouldn't be particularly of interest. But however, as you'll hear during the course of the conversation, during that time, he had to show resilience. They had to do several pivots. It's a fascinating story, and I really hope you enjoy this episode of the Evolve to Succeed podcast. Welcome, Lincoln, to the Evolve to Succeed podcast.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Looking forward to our conversation today about, your business story, your journey with Term Footwear.
Yes.
Gonna sort of have the conversation, I suppose, through the lens of you've been through that journey, you've exited the business.
Yes.
And I suppose what our conversation will therefore entail is a lot of those kind of lessons learned, things you might advise others to do. But I'm really also keen to get, during the course of the conversation, that real essence of your story.
Okay.
So I suppose I should start with the question is, school footwear, not an obvious business to start.
No.
Where did the origination and the idea for the business come from, and how did it all come about?
I think it was, I've listened to some of your podcasts and lifestyle comes up a lot. And, my wife and I at the time, we were in a situation where we had young kids. We enjoyed traveling, we enjoyed being our own bosses, and we wanted to do something that would help us continue that lifestyle.
Okay.
Equally, I had a background in footwear. I'd been selling footwear since 1999. So I started with Duff skateboarding, which was great fun. So I had an understanding of the excitement that footwear can bring.
Okay.
I know that sounds weird, isn't it?
It is. I did look a little surprised.
Still very exciting, yeah.
I suppose you're in the skate world or the energy
in the skate world,
yeah.
Great energy. There was a real buzz in '99 about skateboarding. Yeah. It took off. And we were up against that. We went up as the underdog up against the big guys. DC, Etnies, S. So we would continue selling in a busy marketplace. And so I suppose those learnings weren't new to me.
No.
And so I thought, okay, well, we could try school shoes.
Yeah, and this was about 2010, was it?
No, so I think it was probably 2008, 2009, and we were looking at the price of Start Right, thinking, seriously, are they, we can make some money here because, if we can break into this market, school shoes are expensive. So completely naively, we went into an overcrowded market, which was predominantly by Clarks.
Yeah.
Everyone bought Clarks, and if you didn't buy Clarks, you bought Start Right.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd see if I could take on the big guys.
Something.
Yeah.
And, can you imagine that? Can you remember the feelings that you had as you started the business? What were those what were your fears? What was the excitement? If you were to sum it up in a few words, what would they be?
Yeah, I think there was an excitement. I had something to prove. I'm still not sure where that comes from.
Okay.
Do
you think that was something to prove to yourself or to the world?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think early employment, I remember being in the 90s and being in, I worked for Autosport. I remember speaking to my boss saying, you need to promote me. And he said, well, why?
Yeah.
That's well, I'm good. And I didn't have anything else I didn't have any reason why I was good. I just knew I was good, or I thought I knew I was good. And I wasn't, obviously. But and I suppose that sort of stuck with me, is that I just want to prove to myself and to prove to others that
you got it.
I can achieve these things. So
that was one sort of set of feelings. It's something to prove.
Yeah, and then I always talk to people.
Yeah,
on all levels, and they're always interested in my story and what I do. And I got introduced to an amazing accountant, England and Company in Wimborne.
Yeah.
And Cheryl has been with us from the highs and the lows from day one. And she introduced us to Lloyds Bank, and they at the time were giving out startup loans.
Okay.
The back of Gordon Brown's sort of initiative. And so we got 60,000 from Lloyds. And with that, I then went to South Africa, who we were dealing with at the time for the shoes, and went to the World Cup.
Okay.
With the members of staff from the factories, I'll hasten to add. But, there was a real sort of rush and excitement. Yeah. And again, naivety in that, here we go, we're off. Someone's backed us.
Yeah.
You know,
This is it. Somebody's got some belief.
someone's got some
And where
belief.
do you
Yeah,
start with it? Because it's a product business, isn't it?
it is.
You know,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
used to starting developing service businesses, and I always admire people that start a product business because it's a completely different skill set, I think. So, where did you start from? Did you have a customer? You had the customer in mind was clearly parents, but did you have a route to market first? Did you know how you could source the product, or was it a complete kind of
So,
naive kind of step off the
yeah,
precipice?
there was all of that. So there's a brand in South Africa called Toughies, and they were the #1 school shoe in South Africa.
Okay,
So
so
the
they're the equivalent of the Clarks and
equivalent of the Clarks.
yeah,
Quality, durability, completely different market.
yeah.
And so through some contacts that my wife and I had found in South Africa previous to that, we asked them if we could bring it into the UK, and they were very excited about that.
Okay.
It then turned out that they were owned by Barter, who were the #1 shoe company in the world, and so they were excited that someone was a little bit crazy enough maybe to take this brand from South Africa into
Yeah.
into a mature market like the UK. Barter had pulled out of the UK because the trading was so difficult, and they'd pulled out in the 80s and 90s. And so really that was where it started, and I think we had 700 quid in our savings account, so we bought £700 worth of shoes and put them in the garage,
And then
and,
thought, what
and
do we
then
do now?
told all our friends about them and made them wear them. That's
Yeah.
how we did it. And we built a website, and just I went and knocked on doors and rocked up at these shoe shops and said, I've got this great brand, it's from South Africa, they do 4 million pairs, they're the biggest shoe company in the world, do you want to have a look? And a lot of raised eyebrows to, oh, they're not going to work in this market, or
Yeah.
those styles are very old fashioned, or the leathers are a bit too tough, or
And that's a really interesting one because everybody that starts a business comes across those doubters, don't they?
yeah.
Those people that doubt you, the people that look at you and go, "You're mad."
They were right, by the way.
In hindsight.
In hindsight, yeah.
But how did you, you come across as somebody that has got some inner confidence and some self-belief. But,
Yeah.
how did you overcome those doubters? And for other starting businesses now that perhaps experiences those that look at them and frown, how would you counter that? What words of advice would you give?
Naivety is a wonderful thing, and there's a better word for it, Warren, isn't there?
Yeah.
But it's and I think
Innocence?
maybe innocence, yeah. And then I'll work this out as we go along,
Yeah.
because I think if you sit down and you make the plan and you look at what can go wrong and what may go right,
Yeah.
you just wouldn't do it.
No.
And I think it's that self-belief or the belief in the product
Yeah.
that actually somewhere along the line we can make this work. Somewhere along the line this is going to happen. I had to look for other sources of income in that journey because it just wasn't providing enough. We tried lots of other products from the same area of South Africa, blankets, other shoe designs.
You had went through quite a broad spectrum of products at one stage.
Yeah, absolutely. So just trying to find that. So once we'd got that trading route, if you like, open, and it was duty free, and it's a shorter lead time than Asia. Then we went and looked at other products, blankets even from Johannesburg, and we ended up selling them to HomeSense, TK Maxx's store, just to get rid of them.
Right.
But we
Okay.
and so there were lots of communication that was happening, I suppose, looking back on it, because we were talking to HomeSense, which was TK Maxx. So then we went back to them when we had shoes to sell.
Yeah.
And we bought in other products to try and
Diversify,
broaden the range, give ourselves some credibility. But as you know, it just ended up with black school shoes.
Yeah.
That was what we sold in the end in 22. And COVID was the big decider in that it was just back to core.
Right. Okay. So that was the repositioning from. So you started with shoes, you diversified into a product mix, and then drilled down on the
back on the school shoes. Yeah,
back onto the school shoes.
It was probably a revenue thing.
Yeah,
looking for other sources of revenue just to kind of build that core line.
Okay. Well, perhaps we'll come back round to that.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued to learn, about how you go building brand and brand presence with something like, we've said you're going up against Clark's, you're going up against Stark, right? How did you build a brand? How did you go about doing that? Because I think in what you did, that's probably the success, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the success. And what happened was we had in 2015, so fast forward from 2009, 2010 to 2015. So we're doing really good business with Tuffy's, which is Barter's brand,
Yeah.
and we're distributors. So we're bringing that brand in, and we've got a really good business with Amazon.
Yeah.
They let us down catastrophically.
Okay.
Apparently there's a warehouse fire, and apparently our order's in that warehouse fire, and
Right.
they can't deliver it.
Okay.
So we're in a problem area here. So through my contacts in the footwear industry, I kind of raise the flag and say, help, the back to school season, which is Christmas, is coming down the tracks fairly fast. I've got orders. I haven't got anyone to make it. So I get introduced to the Hush Puppy factory in India. I go to see them and they say, yeah, we can turn around some shoes for you. There'll be our designs. There'll be our signature.
Yeah.
But we'll make them for you so you can get.
Yeah. You can serve your customer.
You can serve your customer and you can survive. So we did that. And then Barter got a bit excited and said, well, if you're using another factory and it's not one of ours and we're not making the shoes, then we want a license fee.
Yeah.
So I can't, come on, we've just worked our socks off to survive, and now you want 15%. It's not going to happen. So credit to my co-founder. She said, well, I'm going to go to London and I'm just going to go and walk the streets and I'm going to think of a brand name, because we can't continue like this.
Right.
So we have to have our own brand. So we went back to the factory, really kind of quite nervous about this, to say, Tuffy's is no more.
Yeah.
Everything we've built up is no more. We're now going to make it Term. So we're literally just a switch. So brand established,
Wow.
backers, just to go to Term. But we wouldn't have survived with the 15%.
No.
And
I suppose that's a really interesting thing for people listening, isn't it? Because, you went from being a distributor, which is fairly low risk. I mean, you're buying stock, aren't you?
Yeah.
But your risk is the stock you bought,
and the supplier meeting their
minimum
promises.
order requirements, and all of that
Mm.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's manageable risk.
Yes. A negotiable risk.
Yeah. To starting your own brand.
Yes, which is all you.
And placing the order for shoes.
Yes.
And it is all you.
Yes.
Can you imagine? Again, I suppose I'm always interested in the emotions and feelings. Can you imagine what you and your co-founder were going through?
I can't say it on the podcast. Petrified.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember we went to Amazon, and the way Amazon works, they build up the ISN and the product, and over time it organically rises to the top. And we said, we want to switch to a new brand. Are you okay with that? And they said, well, you're going to start from the bottom again.
So it was like a startup all over.
Yeah, and today Amazon isn't a customer of any note. Nowhere back to the sort
Never
of.
got back to that. At any point in that, the fire, the change, the sort of Tuffy's taking the view that they did you and your co-founder ever think about giving up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we joked when we were walking in, didn't we, that my accountant said, you'd be better off working in Tesco's on the night shift. You'd earn more money.
Sounds like Cheryl to me, pretty straight down the line.
Yeah, and that hit quite hard. It wasn't attractive. There was no way I was going to go work in Tesco's stacking shelves, because obviously you can't scale working in Tesco's stacking shelves, can you? So yeah, there were moments like that, and there were moments where we borrowed money from sources such as Funding Circle.
Yeah.
That puts a thing in my throat because they were horrible.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay. Because you had all of the guarantees and everything. Everything goes on the line, doesn't
all the PGs, everything's on the line, and they just want their money. Yeah. And when difficulties come, they won't work with you. and unfortunately, difficulties do come, and I'm a negotiator, so I'm happy to sit down and say, how can we work out of this? What can we do? And yeah, they had a very firm structure, and there wasn't any flexibility. But sorry, back to the original question.
Yeah, so I suppose I'm kind of then thinking about this. You bring a South African brand to the UK, you get traction with it, but there's some benefits and easy. It's like, well, they sell 4 million pairs over there. They do this, they do that.
Yeah.
You're then going back to everybody that you're selling to and going, well, we're not representing that brand anymore.
We're doing this.
This is our own brand,
Yeah.
their own manufacturer. How did you go about rebuilding the business and building the Term brand at that point?
What's quite interesting is if you've built up relationships with customers and they know the backstory, which we've touched on today, and they buy from you because people buy from people.
Yeah.
They will definitely be sympathetic. Now, whether that converts to an order or whether that can fit into what they're doing, but it was very risky. But it would have been risky sitting still.
There was not a do nothing strategy.
There wasn't a do nothing strategy. No, absolutely. We obviously had some hereditary stock that we held in our warehouse here in Ferndown that would trade us through while we built the Term brand. But the pressure was on. And so we spoke to Costco. I phoned Costco and said, this is, we've got this shoe brand. This is what we're doing. And we got moved from where I thought we would go, which would be in Costco, in all Costco's, on a pallet, at the end of the aisle, looking fantastic, being the school shoe, worked all our way down to ending up on one of their roadshow programs, which is, there's some space.
Yeah.
This is how we do business. We'll run it through our tills, and if we sell it, we pay you.
Yeah.
And if we don't sell it, we'll ask you to pick it up.
Wow.
So that probably was the turning point for us. So we'd replace our existing Amazon business.
Yeah.
With now a potential Costco business.
Okay. And your model was always therefore to go for volume and not build a kind of consumer brand where lots of independents would sell your shoes.
So we were using independents at the time.
Right.
That's an interesting point because the independents absolutely hate it when you go to a multiple.
Yeah.
Because they see it as an immediate threat to their business.
Yeah.
Because they have customers coming in and they've built their relationships with, the family down the road who have 4 pairs of shoes, and all of a sudden they're going in saying, I've just seen this in Costco, or I've just had an email from Amazon, or absolutely. So there is a very difficult. It's almost a bit of a game, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's a fine line, as you say, isn't it?
Fine.
Usually most people end up pursuing one of either of those strategies, don't they?
You need your core business, right?
Yeah.
Because Costco can cancel the order tomorrow.
Yeah. It's dominance of one customer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody tells you to do that, do they?
I think at one point we were 80% of our turnover was with Costco.
Okay.
Which makes, anyone, there you go, there's a reaction.
Yeah, that's the one.
I don't have to explain it.
No.
It's kind of, on one hand, this is fantastic because they've just given us £500,000
It's
order.
fantastic today. It may not be fantastic tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's the halo effect? What's the damage? So there was a lot of, and then obviously as we grew, we were able to offer different products to Costco and different products to the independents to make them feel a bit more special.
Okay, so that was your strategy, was
that was
love the independents with something different,
100%.
mass market to Costco,
yes,
with A products.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, and the independents are your marketing channel. They're your cheerleaders.
Yeah.
They're the ones who get on their hands and knees and put these shoes on the feet of children and will tell you if there's something that could be improved or something that needed changing or that wasn't right. So, they're fundamental to the business.
Absolutely. And when you look back, would you say it was building what was the toughest element? Was it securing quality product?
Yes.
Was it building the brand?
Yes.
Or was it securing the route to market?
Do you want them in order?
Go on. That's a great idea. Put them in order.
Of difficulty.
Yeah.
Supply chain and managing the supply chain is really difficult because we'd gone to a factory in India, and I jumped on a plane and I thought, this will be fun.
Yeah.
You know, I've been to Durban and
This
South
is an
Africa.
adventure.
Yeah, this is an adventure. I got a backpack on and arrived in Delhi, and this just chaos.
Yeah.
It was just insane chaos around me, and I'm trying to keep a clear head, and I'm a bit jet lagged, and I've not slept on the flight, and I'm thinking, well, I've got some money to spend with these guys, but they make for hush puppies, Florence and Fred, Tesco's, Deichmann, Georgs.
Yeah.
And I'm turning up going, right, I've got this great idea.
I need 1,000 pairs.
Yeah, I need 1,000 pairs, and I can't pay you for 60 days. So, you know, I was very much I saw them as selling to a bigger customer.
Yeah.
Even though they were a supplier, I kind of viewed them in the same way that I viewed
had to convince them.
Had to convince them that they should work with me. The second visit, of course, was a trip to the Taj Mahal, and we were picked up in a cab, and it was wonderful. But so that's the supplier was the hardest bit.
Okay.
And at the same time, of course, so I'm dealing with the supplier, and then I'm going out to the independents and to the customers and still selling and still picking up the phone and doing my daily sales job and being positive and being driven and taking orders and making promises, and then swiveling around on my chair and speaking to the factory and saying, so when are they arriving? And speaking to shipping agents and just managing this whole process.
So the toughest bit if we're putting them in order is the supply chain.
Supply chain, yeah.
What comes next?
I think convincing people. The interesting thing was about the brand is had it started on day one with Term Footwear and had gone to a customer base. And I don't know what would have happened, but it turned out and said, I've got these shoes, I've made these shoes, they meet these requirements.
But with no relationship.
No relationship. But then having the toughies and having to literally turn that off and turn on the new brand, and it felt like on and off.
Yeah.
That was really hard. And there were some very dark moments of what have I just done?
Yeah. But do you think you could have done the term thing without having done the toughest thing first?
No.
Because you built relationships, you built some trust, you built confidence.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there it is, isn't it? Absolutely. So 2015, you've got that switch, which we've relied on relationships, and I'm in there working those relationships. You know, I'm going to see all my customers. I'm not taking an order pad. I'm going for a coffee and a chat to say, this is what's happened.
Yeah.
I'll be in touch. So there's investment with no return, but it's a marketing relationship building exercise.
Part of that blood, sweat and tears.
Yeah. Part of the blood, all of them at the same time.
So you probably put, from the sound of that, you probably put building the brand and securing a route to market in the same kind of pot.
Yes.
Because you're
swirling around.
Or swirling around at the same time.
Yeah.
At Evolve, we exist to help business owners and leaders like you start, grow, and exit with purpose. Whether it's coaching, peer groups, strategic advice, leadership and development, or just needing some financial clarity, we're here to support every step of your business journey. If you're ready to evolve, we'd love to help you take that very next step. At what point, obviously, you start to gain some traction, I assume, during sort of 2016, 2017 with a new brand.
Yeah.
We talked about you having a diversification of products and that succeeding to a degree or not, as the case may be, but COVID comes, you go, right, we're going to drill down on shoes.
Yes.
At what point did you start to think about, right, this is a business we now need to sell? Or what did you always have an exit in mind?
There was always an exit. There's always an exit in mind.
Yeah.
I mean, I listen to some of your podcasts and people say, oh, I'm not thinking about it. And of course you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it crosses your mind at some point. You just don't give it time, or you don't decide to think about it because it's not really maybe you don't think it's a reality. So you kind of push it to one side. But I think what, the big one was COVID and money.
Yeah.
So not money in terms of, what can I make from this? Money and staying alive. So all of a sudden we're in that. So we've had Brexit.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had a brand change, and now we've got COVID.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go again.
Yeah.
So we're just about to.
Just got your momentum, and then nobody's buying school shoes.
No one's at school.
No.
And I think the the difficulty is that, so we then went, okay, where's our customer going to come from? And we had a horrible experience in COVID. And I started a Kickstarter campaign for a month for a new style of school shoe that we were about to import.
Okay.
And all we raised was £10,000.
Right. Okay.
That's it. That was
And what was your target raise?
£10,000.
Okay. So okay. So you achieved your target.
Just
But that's
achieved the target.
just about
That was
protein.
it. You know, I think if the schools were open and we'd done that, we might have.
Yeah.
Who knows what the numbers would have been? It was the hardest £10,000 I've ever
Yeah.
made. It was 30 days of sleepless
That's
nights
sweat and tears, because if you don't hit your target, you don't raise on most of these platforms.
and to pay people.
Yeah.
You know, that was and I think so. At that point, we then came out of COVID and thought, right, where is our market? Where's the shift? And people were going back to school, and the first real stores to open were the school uniform
Okay.
retailers, because obviously they needed a school uniform and they'd grown out of it, or they'd lost it, or they'd changed schools. And so these guys were opening, and they literally had a counter. So they put a counter, and you imagine a counter across your front door.
Yeah.
That was it. You came in and went up at this school. What
Yeah.
do I need? You got the bag and off you went, and it was the social distancing.
Yeah.
And so I think we then started to gravitate towards those customers.
Because they are open.
A, they're open. B, they do it top to toe.
Yeah.
And also the Clarks and the Startrights aren't in these stores.
No.
So we thought move towards those. But then at the same time, we had Costco were desperate for stock, and we had a welly supplier. So we pushed wellies into Costco Thurrock
Okay.
during COVID. So I'm in there, and we're in there in the snow, changing barcodes in the car park at 3 a.m.
He's bound to stories do crop up like that, don't they?
And I look back on it and with fondness.
With fondness. A little bit of a shame, but
Yeah.
a fondness.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of a pivot to go to this top to toe solution, go through the independent retailers as well as continuing to serve.
Yeah.
Costco.
What was Costco? Obviously, were they could write big POs.
Yeah.
And we could get funding for big
Just get
POs.
volume. Yeah.
Yeah, and get the volume in. But interestingly, the school uniform retailers, it was suddenly discovered there was upwards of 800-900, maybe 1,000 of these centres where you'd go for your local school uniform. I mean, any parent will tell you the pain that they do. And I think that because of this sort of concentration of being able to shop safely for your essentials, why go somewhere else to get school shoes? That was my theory. So we had already attended a schoolwear show, but the focus had then become in, okay, so not only are the customers that are turning up to this show our customers and our potential revenue stream, but the people that were exhibiting around us are the big three players in the school uniform market. So these guys have been, have had mills in Manchester back in the 1900s and are in textiles, and they've moved into school uniform. They're turning big business. So we turn up at these shows. This is the strategy. We turn up at these shows, but suddenly the shift isn't about who we can write orders with. It's, can we show the big three who we are, what we do?
Positioning thing.
Positioning, yeah, absolutely. So we started to disrupt a bit, make a bit of noise, let them know who we were, start to have conversations with them. Would you be interested potentially in having a shoe range? How can we sell to your customers? Can we do something
interesting
collectively?
Fascinating.
Yeah. And then, so suddenly the whole sort of, we were barely on the stand because we were just networking.
Yeah.
And then we had conversations at an early stage, and there was some curiosity, and they were watching us, and they wanted numbers and figures and that sort of thing, and it didn't go anywhere.
Okay, we'll come back to that very.
Yeah.
But what's interesting though, when I listen to that, and it's a reminder to me actually, but it should be a reminder, is there's so many stories like yours that through that adversity of being in business during COVID, and effectively the tap just drying up, there being nothing, that pivot or that time to stop and think and reposition the business to go again. And there's so many like you. I'm sure there's those that have had the tougher experience, but there's so many like you that have then gone on to achieve great things as a result. It's a reminder to me that all of us in business need to be thinking about strategy all the time, don't we?
Yes. Yeah.
And we don't generally. When things are going okay, or when things are definitely going well, we just pedal the same
We do.
bike. We just go on the same train tracks. To use another analogy, but actually, every now and again, we should stop and pause and go, is there another way? Is there a better way? Because that's what COVID did for you, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And I think also the people that my, in inverted commas, mentors, people that I met along on the journey, the lenders, the bank,
Yeah.
the accountants, we always seem to find people that of note.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they wouldn't just do the job.
Yeah.
They would ask pertinent questions, or they would be asking you for forecasts and where you're going to take this. And that enabled us to focus along the way. So again, it's about the people that you talk to. And I mentioned earlier about sort of selling to the factory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which seems in reverse to what it should be. But the whole time I'm kind of building these contacts.
Yeah.
Because then people watch you.
Yeah.
And then
that relationship.
Yeah. And then you can turn to them and say, right, we're in a difficult time here. How do we exit? How do we straighten out? How do we get more funding?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because there's a huge piece of advice from you there around you've got to surround yourself with the right people, haven't you? We all need a banker, an accountant, a financial advisor, a solicitor. But my story would be like yours. Was actually it was those people that I had around me.
Yes.
That actually were more than their function.
Yes.
They were a sounding board.
Yes.
Or they were the individual that might challenge me if they thought my thinking was awry. And at the time was sometimes frustrating, but in hindsight, I wouldn't have succeeded without that.
I think that's right. I think you've got to find like-minded people, and there's a lot of people want to give you advice. And it's all based on their life experiences, remember. So they're only ever going to give you advice from what they've learned.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of noise, and there's a lot of doubters.
Yeah.
And interestingly, and I don't know if you can answer this question, is that a lot of the doubters were customers, but they still ordered.
Right. Okay.
And I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah.
And maybe they're just testing.
Maybe they are just testing, aren't
Yeah,
they?
maybe.
Maybe they just have you got, I suppose it's like anything, isn't it? When you're buying anything in life, you want the person to believe in the person in front of you. And the way you sometimes get that belief is to be the doubting.
And test them a bit.
Yeah.
And you're resilient.
Yeah.
I had to learn resilience.
Yeah. I don't think any of us are born resilient, are we? That's an interesting topic, but
That's
I think in business it gets a whole different couple of hours of conversation. But just touching on it, I don't know. I'm a believer in that. If I look back, I always had, possibly like you, that inner confidence, that inner belief that I could do this.
Yes.
And I was going to do this. And that's probably just bloody determination. Yeah.
Yeah.
But as I went through the journey, and as I've continued to go through the journey, I think you build resilience through experience, don't you?
Absolutely.
Because you reference back, or you go, do you know what? I've never been here before. This is particularly shitty. This looks like doomsday. But I've felt like that before, and didn't I overcome it? And for me, that's how you build resilience. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think, there are many mini COVID experiences, many Brexits that we came across, and it's just I think my advice would be, don't take it personally.
Yeah. It's hard not to do that.
Of course it is, because of course it is.
It's everything to you at some point, isn't it?
And it has to be everything to you. You have to live and breathe it.
Yeah.
Because the decisions that you'll make, or the new ideas will come at 3 a.m, or will come on a traffic jam on the M3.
Yeah.
Or we'll come at a family party and you're so disengaged. Everyone say, "Are you all right?" So no, sorry, I'm just thinking about shoes.
Yeah. Just that's my passion
Again. Yeah.
And so, but that comes to an interesting point, and we touched on it when we met for a coffee, is that actually an owner-managed business is about your co-founder, isn't it?
Yes.
But to go through an exit, you've got to start to remove that reliance.
Absolutely.
And that can be very difficult. How did you go? I assume you succeeded in doing that. How did you go about doing that, Lincoln?
I think it was about when I realised that the schoolwear sector was so big and so mature, with steeped in history back to textiles, and to have a company that was 6-7 years old,
Yeah.
brand that was 6-7 years old, was nothing. Was just they would try brands, they'd pour money into it, and then they'd go on and do something else. Just the amount of money that was moving around in that industry. And so I think the reality was then, okay, can I imagine this brand being owned by these players? And I think with some businesses, there's a huge amount of opportunity in terms of being able to sell to the VCs and the people in the same marketplace. But we were kind of restricted to 3. And if those 3 weren't interested, we were still on our own. And they'd already said no once. And so I think it was about imagining that product, this shoe, this brand, under their umbrella. And would that work?
Right.
And would their team be able to sell it? And that's where we are today.
And that made you then decide you had to step away and not be the face, effectively.
Yes. I then became the face of the transition.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Started to sell to them to say how well they could do with it and what they could do with it.
And how did that all? So you said you approached them, all 3.
Yeah.
Those turned you down and weren't interested in the proposition. How did the actual exit therefore come about? How did you actually get one of them intrigued enough to have the conversations and ultimately to do the acquisition?
Well, they didn't say no, they just didn't do it.
Right.
Which is no, right?
Yeah.
Which is, and there was a lot of curiosity.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, I think, in building a business and the journey, if I look back on it, the curiosity is huge. And you can come away, I'm sure you've come away from a meeting going, that was fantastic, they're going to do it. Yeah, the buying signals were there, they loved me, they loved it. And then you get the email a few days later saying, no, we're not this time. And then you're crestfallen, of course.
Yeah.
And I think we continued to turn up at that show, and we continued to do better, and we continued to improve. And that was then the change, was that, okay, we're gonna put some real money into this show. So where before we would spend £1 and we'd expect 2 back.
Yeah.
Now it was just spending money as an investment in the hope
to throw a line or hook
out. Throw a line, to see if these guys would support us. And I think we spoke to a number of people, and there were some strategies that we worked out. Well, one was complete acquisition. One was using them as a distributor, because don't forget they had an amazing customer base and a warehouse and a pick pack facilities.
Yeah.
They didn't have to invest in anything to do it. They just slotted it into what they were currently doing. So distributor model, buy us outright, or just working closely with them. So those were the kind of the three options. And the one that was taking the most traction was the distribution model, where we would be the designers of the brand and would assist with the marketing, but they would
satisfy the route to market.
They would satisfy the route to market,
the delivery and the logistics and all of that.
And at one of many board meetings that I was never invited to, they decided that they would rather just buy it and bring it within their mix. There was a seismic change within school uniform at this point, in that the Labour government in their manifesto had said we're going to reduce the number of items in the basket, and that meant that they could see a revenue drop.
Yeah.
So they then also...
This was an easy replacement.
And this was an easy replacement,
Every kid needs school shoes.
Yeah, so they could maintain their revenues that they were used to by bringing in another product line.
Okay. And I quite often ask this question. How did it feel the day you signed the deal?
I was all over the place.
Yeah.
I was in Lisbon. I meant to go to Lisbon having signed the deal, but it was delayed. And I pulled out of the car hire place and immediately drove on the wrong side of the road.
Right.
So I wasn't thinking straight. It was mixed with a massive high.
Yeah.
This is really exciting. What does this mean?
Yeah.
And it was, what does this mean? What does this now mean? What does this look like? What does this?
Yeah.
Right. And then a bit of sadness.
Yeah. It always is that. I
Yeah.
describe it, I've said it time and time again, but as feeling numb, nearly.
Yeah. And
It's being your baby, isn't it?
absolutely, yeah. And this is just typical me. They then kept me on for a period of time to go and visit customers with
Yeah.
their business development managers, their
To do
BDMs,
the transition.
to
Yeah.
do the transition. And I said, look, why don't we do the training of the product on the road in front of customers? So you come with me, we'll go and see a customer, we'll sell some products, and you can see
Yeah.
you can. And
Methodology and approach.
I just took over. I went into auto mode,
Yeah.
got the pad out, wrote the order, and the poor BDM sat there going,
I haven't really done much of a transition.
yeah, exactly. I've just listened. Yeah. So, so that, I went into auto mode, and then it took some time to sort of unpick that.
It's interesting, isn't it? That separation. That it's nearly like grief, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then you've got to go through it, haven't you? You've got to go through that transition.
Yeah. It's like sending a child to school.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh.
And I'm sure a lot of people that you speak to go and do something again in the same market.
Yeah.
That's why non-competes are in
Always
contracts,
there,
right?
yeah. So what is next for you then?
So I stopped consulting for them after about 6 months. And I'm currently working with 2 fantastic new brands
Okay.
who are entering the same space
Okay.
and imparting my knowledge and experience with them and enjoying the same buzz.
Yeah.
One's Prenter, which is a children's school shoe brand.
Okay.
Sorry, they do school shoes, but they're also, it's pre-walkers, barefoot,
Okay.
dealing with shoes. So slightly different to where
Slightly different markets segment.
the school shoe bit they're just moving into, which is very exciting. And then Laces in Defiance, Emma.
Oh yeah.
So doing some bits and
Emma's
pieces.
been on here. Yeah.
She has, yeah.
Definitely.
Absolutely. So very driven individual.
Yeah.
An exciting story. And both of those brands, I'm drawn to both the founders.
Yeah.
I can see myself in them. They're exciting.
Yeah.
And they'll do incredibly well because they are tenacious enough to make it happen.
Tenaciousness, that's what you need, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I just want to start to kind of conclude the conversation with some top tips, because you've been through, that startup story, a pivot, the resilience piece, through to exit, and come out the other side smiling. So that's a positive. So if you had, a individual right in front of you now that was thinking about launching a product into an established market, what would be your top 3 tips?
One thing somebody told me was nothing happens until you sell something.
Yeah.
So I'm probably everyone's going to, all the accountants and the strategists and the business development people are going to shudder when they hear this. But I think the way I did it was I got interest in the product first and somebody who wanted to buy it or could take it on board. And then I turned around, I thought, okay, who can help me do this?
Yeah.
I'm not a shipping merchant. I've learned about how shoes are made, but I know what a good leather is, but I don't know how it comes from the tannery. I don't know how to file my accounts.
Yeah.
I can fill out a spreadsheet, I've learned it along the way, but there are people that are skilled at that.
Yeah.
And I think that don't get confused in the trying to run the business.
Yeah.
Prove
you've got a business.
Prove you've got a business, prove you've got a product.
Yeah. And there's a market for it.
Yeah, come to Warren at Evolve and say, I've got some orders for this product.
Help now.
Now what do I do? Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, that's a really good tip. So that's number 1.
Yeah. I suppose the other one is to not fear what your head could tell you could go wrong.
Okay.
Because it's rubbish.
Yeah.
So at 3:00 in the morning when you wake up,
yeah,
and you've got a mortgage, and or you've got kids, and you've got car payments, or you've booked a holiday, and you just can fear that crashing around you. And I've only learnt this the hard way because it's human nature. But COVID taught me that. I woke up one morning after the sun had gone and we'd had all the barbecues, and the nice bit was, okay, I could lose this house. That's a reality. Okay, so what happens if I lose the house? Well, I rebuild. Trust yourself.
Yep. Don't listen to the fear and trust yourself.
Trust yourself. Don't listen to your demons. Don't listen to your, the naysayers. And don't forget the naysayers are there all along. They're brilliant. I love, they'll tell you what you're doing wrong, even when you've done it right.
Yeah. Well, they can motivate you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And a third,
third tip to a startup.
Third tip to a startup. Yeah, just don't be afraid to talk to everyone about it, and don't take it personally.
Love that. And then the exit, I'm really intrigued. I'm going to ask you for one sort of big kind of words of wisdom advice, because it does sound like, with the help of others, maybe that you got your strategy right on exit. You sort of identified who your buyer may be.
Yeah.
And then you made yourself attractive to them.
Yes.
And you positioned yourself well, and you successfully created an exit. And I think good on you, because I think too many people end up trying to throw darts at a dartboard as their
dice.
as their exit strategy.
Yes.
So, having gone through that journey, if somebody's listening to this podcast and thinking, okay, it's about time I really did think about exiting this business.
Yes.
What's the one piece of advice that you'd give them?
Why do you want to exit?
Okay.
Have you had enough?
Yeah.
Have you lost the passion?
Yeah.
Do you not want to do it anymore? Is it becoming so stressful? Have you got other issues? I don't know issues.
Yes.
But
other demands. Yeah.
Other demands. So why?
Yeah.
Why do you want to exit? And speak to someone like yourself, and say, for these reasons,
yeah,
I'd like to exit.
So understanding why.
Understand the why. Yeah. And it could be really personal, and don't be afraid to be vulnerable and to open up and say, yeah, this has happened in my life. I don't want it,
Don't need it anymore.
Yeah, I don't need it anymore. Or I can't take it any further. I mean, one of the things for us was we probably needed a couple 100,000 to take it to the next level, minimum of just investment. And that was hard to find post-COVID in school shoes.
Yeah.
We're quite a niche market, and not everyone gets it. And so that was a driver for us as well. It was like, okay, well, we're going to go to the players who can, but what's in it for them? So I think, why do you want to exit? And then once you've done that, just see the potential people that are going to take you over or take it on or carry on without you. Can it carry on without you?
Yeah. Have you got it to that place?
Yeah. Can the brand carry on without you being part of it? See them as customers. They're just another customer. They're just another Costco, another Amazon.
Yeah.
Another shoe, another June. They're just another.
We're all human, aren't we?
Yeah.
But I love that. Understand why. What's the motivation? What's driving it? Because I think that's a really good advice, because that does then determine your strategy, isn't it? Is it sell it to the management team? Is it create the lifestyle business where you can take an income because actually you're just tired, you love the business,
yes,
but you're tired? Or do you really does the business need investment? Therefore, you've got to go
absolutely
find a bigger player.
Be genuine with yourself.
Yeah.
Be honest with yourself, and don't be afraid to be vulnerable.
And in fairness, that's kind of where we start when we do one of our services is an optimization review for people thinking they might exit. We do start with what you're trying to achieve. What's the why? What's the objective? What does good look like?
Absolutely.
And because with that in mind, you can frame everything.
And it can change.
Yeah.
Just because I've said to you, this is why, it will change.
Yeah.
So there's something else has happened, or we've evolved, or something's happened. So
time to wrap up the conversation. So I'm really interested about this, because obviously you've been on that journey. If you look now, and it's the question I always end the podcast with. So what is your personal definition of success, Lincoln?
I did it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's put you in a happy place.
It's put me in a very happy place. And it was only ever a battle with myself.
Interesting.
I was only ever proving it to myself.
Yeah.
No one else cares. They've got their own stuff going on, haven't they? Right?
But
but I'm confident enough to do it again. And I love working with other entrepreneurs. I love the energy.
Yeah.
I love being able to help people and go into other startups and companies and say, look, I can add a day a week or half a day a week or a day a month and just
Can you see yourself doing it again? At the moment, you're helping others, and you can see the joy on your face. So you're really enjoying doing that. Can you see at some point in the future you doing it again yourself?
If the right, if the stars align, that's so awful, isn't it? If the right moment comes along, I mean, if we go right back to the beginning of the conversation, children at school, expensive school shoes, looking for a lifestyle change, something to support the family, a history in shoes.
Yeah.
It all kind of at that
It
moment,
did all align, didn't
it
it?
did all align. Yeah, it's not aligned at the moment. I've got some great people that I'm working with, and I can see being involved in their companies as they explode, and they will. So I think that's where I'm going.
That's where
I'm
the joy
going
is.
to go and back those horses.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
If people listening want to learn more about you, Lincoln, where can they go? How can they connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. On LinkedIn, say I'm Lincoln New.
Yeah,
That's me.
find you there.
You'll find there, or probably at the bottom of this podcast. I imagine.
Definitely, we'll
There we
definitely
go.
put the contact details there.
Thank you.
Lincoln, thank you for being a wonderful guest on the Evolve to Succeed podcast.
Pleasure. Nice to be here.
I said in the intro it was a story of resilience and pivoting, and I think Lincoln told that story during the course of that conversation really well. So many lessons learned through the course of the conversation. Lincoln showed up with vulnerability, but also that confidence to tell his story with pride, which was great. So I really hope you've enjoyed that episode, and if you have, then please help us by subscribing to the Evolve to Succeed podcast on your favourite channel. And also, if you want to find out more about Evolve and how we may help you, please go to evolveadvisory.co.uk. For now, thank you for listening.